is a meeting of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. We did not have anybody sign up for public comment pursuant to section 842.112 of the Tennessee Code Annotated. That time is reserved for public comment on legislative items appearing on this agenda. Members of the public wishing to speak may sign up on the council committee sign-up sheet posted outside the room where the committee is scheduled to meet. Public comment sign up for council committee meetings will end immediately before the meeting begins. Public comment is limited to 8 minutes total at council committee meetings, and each speaker is allowed up to 2 minutes to speak. All public comment speakers must present proof of Tennessee residency. Requests for interpretation services and/or accessibility accommodation should be directed to the council office at 615-862-6780. I know nobody signed up for public comment. Was there anyone here who wanted to participate in public comment and did not get the opportunity to sign up? All right, seeing none, we will move to the regular agenda. Currently, item number 14 through 43 and items 55 are not on consent. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to take off consent? All right, seeing none right now, I'll go ahead and read the consent agenda, and if anybody wants to pull anything else after, just let me know. Item 1, RS 2026-1766, a resolution authorizing the Waste Services Department to utilize surveillance technology for fleet vehicles available under a cooperative master agreement with Routeware Inc., sponsors Toombs, Evan Siegel, Stiles, and GAD. Item number 2, RS 2026-1776, a resolution amending ordinance number BL 2021-874 to extend the construction commencement date for an easement agreement pertaining to a portion of Alley 371 in connection with a development project, sponsors Coop and Horton, Evan Siegel, and GAD. Item number 3, RS 2026-1777, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement by and between the State of Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by and through the Nashville Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure for the repair of existing pavement failures and resurfacing of 3.64 miles of Cane Ridge Road. Sponsors Lee, Stiles, Toombs, Horton, and Evan Siegel. Item number 4, RS 2026-1778, or 1778, a resolution authorizing Tennessee Printers Hotel Owner LLC to construct and install an aerial encouragement at 315 to 323 Union Street. Sponsors Coop and Horton and Evan Siegel. Item 5, RS 2026-1784, resolution approving an agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Department of Water and Sewerage Services and the Tennessee Department of Transportation for a landscaping project on Murfreesboro Pike, U.S. Highway 41 between Volte Boulevard and Town Park Drive. Sponsors Bradford, Benton, Welsh, Toombs, and Evan Siegel. Item number 6, RS 2026-1781, a resolution amending ordinance BL 2024-381, which established certain provisions governing stormwater management practices for the East Bank. Item number 7, RS 2026-1784, a resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public water main and to accept new public water main for property located at 910B North Hill Drive, also known as East Trinity Mixed Use. Sponsors Parker, Horton, and Evan Siegel. Item number 8, BL 2025-1188, an ordinance amending section 1208-050 and 1208-060 in the Metropolitan Code of Laws to authorize qualified personnel of the Nashville Department of Transportation to direct traffic and to grant traffic direction authority to fire department personnel during emergency situations. Item 9, BL 2025-1192, an ordinance authorizing the renaming of Roy Court to Magnolia Shores. Sponsors Eslick, Evan Siegel, and Horton. Item 10, BL 2026-1196, an ordinance approving an agreement between the Metropolitan Government and Piedmont Natural Gas, Inc. for the relocation of a natural gas pipeline on the existing Nissan Stadium campus. Item 11, BL 2026-1200, an ordinance authorizing the granting of an overhead and underground easement to the Electric Power Board of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County on certain properties owned by the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Coop and Toombs, Horton, and Evan Siegel. Item B, number 12, BL 2026-1202, an ordinance approving a greenway conservation easement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County through the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation and Main Street Land Trust for greenway improvements at 0 Bethwood Drive. 2539 Allenwood Drive, 2543 Allenwood Drive. Sponsors Parker, Toombs, Horton, Evans, Siegel, Vo, Welsh, and Gadd and Allen. Item 13, BL 2026-1203, an ordinance approving a greenway conservation easement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County through the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation and Domain Timberlake Multi-State 2 LLC, care of Clayton Properties Group, Inc. for greenway improvements at 1032 Bear Run, 409 Misty Creek Court, and Zero Nature Trail Way. Sponsors Gamble, Toombs, Horton, Evans, Siegel, Vo, Welsh, Gadd, and Allen. Item 44, BL 2026-1236, an ordinance authorizing the renaming of Alley 569 to Clowder Alley and Alley 535 to Cantamount Alley. Sponsors Cuban Horton and Evans Siegel. Item 45, BL 2026-1237, an ordinance authorizing the abandonment of Alley 1907 right-of-way from Drake Avenue to Alley 1906. Sponsors Welsh, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 46, BL 2026-1238, an ordinance authorizing 616 Ewing Partners to construct, install, and maintain underground, above ground, and aerial encroachments at 616 Ewing Avenue. Sponsors Coop and Horton and Evans Siegel. Item 47, BL 2026-1239, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public utility and drainage easement rights for property located at 3801 Cleghorn Avenue. Sponsors Ewing, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 48, BL 2026-1240, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing sanitary sewer manhole and to accept new public sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, wet well modifications, and easements for 3 properties located at 1686 Reynolds Road unnumbered, and 600 Air Park Commerce Drive, also known as Reynolds Road Industrial Development. Sponsors Bradford, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 49, BL 2026-1241, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 6 properties located at Gray Street and Martin Street, also known as Martin and Gray Townhomes. Sponsors Vo, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 50, BL 2026-1242, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manhole, and associated easements for property located at 1212 Baptist World Center. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 51, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public water and sanitary sewer main and to accept new public water and sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, the replacement of sanitary sewer manhole, the relocation of fire hydrant assemblies and easements for property located at 2415 Vanderbilt Place, also known as Vanderbilt University, CUI Phase A and B. Sponsors Cash, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 52, BL 2026-1244, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new public water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrant assemblies, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 2 properties located at 3124 Murfreesboro Pike and 3201 Hamilton Church Road, also known as Antioch 15 Phase 1. Sponsors Harrell, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 53, BL 2026-1245, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manhole, and easements for 2 properties located at 3620 and 3628 Anderson Road. Sponsors Ellis, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 54, BL 2026-1246, an ordinance accepting and appropriating public water system settlement funds from DuPont to the Metropolitan Department of Water and Sewerage Services. Sponsors Toombs and Evans Siegel. Is there anything else that needs to come off the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? All right, it has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any not voting? So we've got 7 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, sorry. 6 in favor, 0 against. Yeah, yes. Okay, sorry. 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Yeah. Making sure I've got everybody who came in here. Okay. Items 14 through 43 are related items. We had originally planned today to have a presentation from NDOT explaining these professional services contracts, which are largely related to choose how you move funding. However, given the current circumstances, We would like to move that 2 weeks, and so all these items we're asking be deferred together so that they can align with that new presentation. Acting special counsel has advised we can take them up together as long as nobody objects to that. All right, seeing no objections, I will read these items. Item 14, BL 2026-1206, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Fairpoint Planning LLC and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 15, BL 2026-1207, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Gresham Smith and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 16, BL 2026-1208, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between GRW Engineers, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Item 17, BL 2026-1209, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between H.W. Lochner, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 18, BL 2026-1210, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between HDR Engineering, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 19, BL 2026-1211, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Los and Associates, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 20, BL 2026-1212, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Neil Schaefer, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 21, BL 2026-1213, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Nelson Nygaard Consulting Associates, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 22, BL 2026-1214, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Orchids, Hiltz, and McClement, Inc., DBA OHM Advisors, and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 23, BL 2026-1215, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Parsons Transportation Group, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 24, BL 2026-1216, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Bora Himankara Gupta, DBA Bora Consulting, and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Really should have recorded myself saying this so that next week I can just play it over again. Item 25, BL 2026-1217, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between CDM Smith, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 26, BL 2026-1218, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Collier Engineering Company, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 27, BL 2026-1219, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Consord North America, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 28, BL 2026-1220, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 29, BL 2026-1221, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between AECOM Technical Services, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Item 30, BL 2026-1222, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Alfred Finich and Company and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Item 31, BL 2026-1223, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Alta Planning and Design, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 32, BL 2026-1224, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Arcadius US, Inc. and Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 33, BL 2026-1225, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Barge Design Solutions, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 34, BL 2026-1226, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Jacobs Engineering Group, Inc. and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 34, BL 2026-1227, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Johnson, Miriam and Thompson, Inc., and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 36, BL 2026-1228, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between KCI Technologies, Inc., and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 37, BL 2026-1229, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Kimley Horn and Associates, Inc., and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 38, BL 2026-1230, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Lamar Dunn and Associates, Inc., DBA LDA Engineering, and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 39, BL 2026-1231, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Reagan Smith and Associates, LLC, and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 40, BL 2026-1232, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Smith, Sackman, Reed, Inc., and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Item 41, BL 2026-1223, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Stantec Consulting Services, Inc., and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 42, BL 2026-1234, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between Volker, Inc., and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Item 43, BL 2026-1235, an ordinance approving a contract for technical and engineering services between WSP USA, Inc., and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Can I get a motion on all of these bills? And can someone make a motion to defer one meeting? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the deferral? Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of a deferral one meeting for these items, say aye. Any opposed? Any not voting? That's 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Looking forward to us hearing that line for the next 2 consecutive meetings, as well as 3 times in 2 weeks. That leaves us with the last bill on our agenda today, item 55, BL 2025-1147, an ordinance amending certain access management sections of chapters 1312 and 1720 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to implement the Access Management Manual, which compiles regulations and guidelines for access from private property to the public rights of way to modernize the development review process and make streets safer for all modes of transportation. Sponsors Toombs, Horton, and Evans Siegel. Can I get a motion? We have a substitute from Councilmember Toombs. Do we have a letter from Councilmember Toombs? Okay, we can take up substitutes. Okay. We have a substitute. Substitute has been moved. Do we have a second on the substitute? It's been seconded. Acting Special Counsel, can you explain the substitute to us?
Yes, Chair. The substitute as proposed would add changes to Title 13 regarding obstructing visibility at intersections, driveways, or right-of-way. This language would match what is in the proposed access management manual. There is some additional language about an appeals process that regarding the Traffic and Parking Commission. The access management manual itself was also replaced for an updated version in the substitute.
Thank you, Special Counsel. Does anybody have any questions on the substitute? Yes, Councilmember Allen.
Actually, it's not on the substitute. I'll wait till we get past that.
Okay. Anything further on the substitute? Okay. All in favor of the substitute, say aye. Aye. All right. Any opposed? Any not voting? Okay. 7 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting. All right. Councilmember Allen, we are on the bill.
Move the bill as substituted.
Oh, all right. Do we have a second? All right. It's moved and seconded.
Now may I ask a question? So I guess the one thing I would just like some help thinking through is my understanding is this is working to reduce the number of access points on major roads, which is better for safety. And my question is, does that then move access points to secondary roads? And could someone talk about the safety considerations for that, or even the cut-through traffic considerations for that?
Okay, I believe NDOT is in the back. Would somebody from NDOT like to take up that question?
Hello, this is on. I think you can hear me, right? Okay. Hi, I'm Melissa Hayes. I'm a traffic engineer at NDOT, and I worked on the access management manual. Could you repeat your questions really quick? Sorry.
Thank you. So as I understand it, this has specific language about reducing the number of access points on major roads. And so for something that is located on a corner, will that then relocate the access point to a side street? And is there just data, or has there been study done on how that affects the side streets with regard both to safety and cut-through traffic?
Yes, thank you for repeating that question. Yes, in the access management manual, we have taken into account all different types of roadways, so collectors, arterials, local roads, and alleyways. And we have set up the manual to prioritize access on lower classified roads and alleyways. Of course, alleyways more prioritized than a local road. But so yes, there was study done to come to that conclusion. So it's ranked arterial roadways, less driveway placement, and then it's kind of like a angled line down to local and alleyways where more driveway access is allowed. Of course, there may be cases where a property may only have access or property frontage on an arterial, so we may have to work with them to figure out a safe way to have access there. But yes, we have all of the research that we did on our project webpage on nashville.gov, so you can review that if you would like. But yes, it's safer to have access on a lower classified road in terms of traffic being added to those lower classified roadways. Traffic studies that would be done for a new development would look into that and see if any other additional improvements to the roadway may be needed or not. But in terms of safety being improved, it's just much more safe for a driveway to be placed on those local and alleyways as opposed to the higher classified roads.
Okay, thank you. Maybe if we could be just sent the direct link to where that study is, that would be really handy.
Sure.
Sorry, I turned my Microsoft off. So I assume NDOT has everybody's email address and communicates with us, and if that could be sent to us as a body directly, that'd be great. Councilmember Spain, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Does this include any regulations around tracking and that sort of thing out of construction sites, fill operations, or is that handled separately?
There's currently not an aspect of this project to implement a GIS tracking, if that's what you're referring to?
Not that kind of tracking. Tracking like mud and debris onto the roadway out of
for alleyways?
Could be, but I'm thinking more like onto major roads where you're having trucks and construction vehicles coming in and out of construction sites, that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, that in terms of trucks and development traffic, that's not specifically addressed in this manual.
Thank you. I think Director Potter has something to add as well to that question.
That's best addressed by the Stormwater Management Manual.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Any further questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. All right, any opposed? Any not voting? It's 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. To approve. Item number 56, as referenced earlier, is going to be moved to our next meeting, given everything going on. Having a presentation on spending and engineering contracts for Choose How You Moved did not seem to be the best use of our time today. So I appreciate everybody's flexibility in that. Item 57, chair reports and updates. we have a lot of folks here today. What I just wanted to start with is that a lot of these folks have worked nonstop now for 10-ish days. And so, you know, NDOT's crews, the water department, the Office of Emergency Management, and all those that work directly with it, fire, EMS, and police personnel, as well as social services, the codes department, and getting electrical permits issued timely and inspected timely has been really working quite hard. I've heard from a lot of people who were getting stuff approved over the weekend, which is not, you know, typical operating procedure, certainly. MNPS getting schools ready despite having also sustained damage and having teachers without power, and NES crews and engineers out in the field doing assessments. So I want to thank everybody out there working to make sure that things haven't stopped, and that repairs are being made, that government is still being responsive. I know that the departments have some updates to make before they start doing that. I do want to say a specially called meeting has been called for February 10th. That is the meeting where we can ask questions about what could have happened. This meeting today and what we are here today is to discuss what is happening. And so, you know, I hopefully do not plan to shut off mics, but if somebody goes down the what could have happened road, that is not for today. And so we are going to keep the topic today on what we are doing and what the critical urgent needs are, given that tens of thousands of folks are still without power. People have spent a lot of money just to stay warm over the past week and fed. And what is happening now, I know there have been some briefings for us that have been available, but we also have some questions. So I really appreciate everybody being here today. And we will try not to keep you too long because I know there's much more important work outside of this room that needs to be done right now. So with that, I know that water had some update because as we're thawing out, now we're in the breaking main phase of this crisis. So I'm going to start with that and then roll through to other folks who may want to say stuff.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope all of you are safe and well and hopefully warm. Thank you for allowing us tonight. I'm Mary Peoples. I'm with Metro Water Services, and I would like to introduce to you our director, Mr. Scott Potter. He's going to come before you and bring you a departmental briefing just very quickly. Thank you. Mr. Potter.
Thank you, Mary. Good afternoon, members of council. One of the things I want to stress in my remarks is how do we repair a main break? And because there's a specific process that goes through that there's a couple of steps that may be confusing to the general public. So someone calls in water in the street, they'll call hopefully 615-862-4600. We send out an investigator first to investigate the site to find out what's going on. While that's happening, planning is going on to get the right crew there, the right equipment and things like that. But one of the key things that happens that is really important is we're required to do what's called a dare dig. And that's calling 811 to give every other utility that has infrastructure in the ground the opportunity to mark their equipment. By law, we're required to wait 2 hours for them to do that. And hopefully it's clear to everybody how important that is, because the first thing that jumps to mind is digging in the vicinity of a natural gas line. So we want to make sure we know where it is because we use backhoes to dig up those main breaks to repair them. So once the dare dig is complete and all the infrastructure has been marked, then the crew effects the repair. Most of the time, especially right now, the pipes that are breaking are going to be cast iron pipes because they're the most brittle. They're going to break in most cases what we call circumferentially. So if you just take a peppermint stick and pop it, it's two really nice clean breaks on either side. So we can put what's called a repair band on that and stop the leak. After we do that, we're required to disinfect it with a really strong chlorine solution. And then we're required to take water quality samples, take those to the laboratory to make sure there's no contamination. And then we place the main back into service, and then we do restoration. So sometimes after we isolate a break, and if nothing is happening, that's usually when the dare dig is occurring. It's also really important to recognize that right now, all of our pump stations and all of our reservoirs are operating normally. Both of our water plants are operating normally. So everyone has water service unless there's two circumstances. The first one is a frozen service. The second one is a main break repair, because on occasion, when we isolate the main breaks, people that may not be right in the main break zone may be affected. So they'll be out of water as well. So I wanted to kind of go over that to educate the council and the general public about what happens when we do a main break repair. Right now, we're in the last 5 days, we're over 75 breaks. I haven't got an update since 8 o'clock this morning, so I don't have the exact number. But we've got a lot of main breaks coming in around the clock. We've got crews that work for Metro Water Services. We've got crews that are contracted on an emergency contract to do the repair. And we will keep both crews working 3 8-hour shifts until main break activity returns to normal. One of the things that is important to recognize is we're going to have main breaks every day because we have 3,000 miles of pipe. A lot of it's really old and it's going to break. So how we define normal will be kind of a flexible thing, but we'll be staffing around the clock until we make that determination. With the increase in temperature in the river, the atmospheric temperature, hopefully the river water temperature will start to recover. This morning it was 40 degrees. Maybe y'all have heard me talk about that 39-degree magic number where cast iron behaves the most brittly and water density is the highest. That will give the highest probability of main break activity. So we're hoping that the atmospheric temperature being up will cause the river water to start to slowly recover. Give you an idea how we're doing at the plants. The average daily flow yesterday was 130 million gallons. So generally speaking, that's about 30 million gallons over what would be a normal day for this time of year. Generally speaking, without irrigation, baseline load for us is about 100 million gallons of water a day. So next thing to talk about to our members of the public and the council is we don't need to drip our faucets anymore until it gets prolonged cold again. Tonight will be relatively safe. I think it's getting down to 31 degrees. So you don't need to drip your faucets and things like that until it gets really cold again. One of the things I wanted to stress about that is what is the definition of a dripping faucet? Had a couple of people call me and they said they would put their phone next to in this case, the bathtub, and it was going full blast, okay? That's a little much. So if everybody's doing that, then we have a really big load demand that's unnecessary. So we need to kind of have just that pencil lead thin stream in the middle, hot and cold, 2 or 3 faucets, especially the ones that are on the outside perimeter of your home. Like at my house, my kitchen sink shares a wall with the outside world. I always leave that one dripping if it gets really cold. Other than that, if you don't have pipes that are close to the outside, unless it gets really cold for a really long time, we don't need to drip. But right now, I think we're good to go on dripping. I want to make sure I've covered everything that I wanted to talk about before I run away. Okay, that's it. Does the council want to ask questions or should I just take a seat?
You're welcome to sit down. I think we might have a couple more updates and then we might have questions for you. We might not. Thank you, Director Potter. I know he told us for the meeting they've already had over 70 breaks that they've had to deal with because pump stations also run on power and that's what keeps everything flowing. They were driving around in the ice weekend before this, checking those with flashlights just to make sure everything was working. It's really remarkable that we kept safe water through this. So I want to thank those out there for making sure that that got done. I think NES wanted to give a brief update as well.
Certainly. Good afternoon. Thank you, council members, for the opportunity to be here to provide an update on our restoration efforts that are still underway. NES crews and contract personnel are working around the clock to accelerate restoration ahead of the previously shared deadlines. As of today, 95% of NES customers have power, and we are working diligently to restore the remaining 5%. The outage area at the peak of this event was 294 square miles. Our outage area now only has 32 square miles out. Our first assessment is 100% complete, which allowed us to identify major damage affecting customers. The second assessment is underway. So that first assessment was the one that really gave us the ability to come up with the projections. So we knew how many poles in a certain area, how many poles are broken, how many spans of line are down. The second assessment finds smaller or somewhat hidden issues that show up once power is restored as a preemptive approach to try to avoid issues with that. We work diligently to restore power to our priority categories, which include hospitals, critical water and sewer facilities, and fire and police stations. 8 out of 124 priority 1 customers remain without power. We continue to assess safety concerns for our crews as they restore power quickly, especially as we bring on additional contract crews. You have more safety challenges because you have crews that aren't familiar with your system. So we pair them with someone that is certified and has had training on our system and hazardous energy control. At the peak, we had 732, well, we believe as of now, we have 732 broken poles. We may find more as we finish our restoration. We are actively working to replace the remaining 435 broken poles. Poles and trees remain a barrier, especially on private property. We are exceeding projections as we work through these challenges. Our top priority is ensuring the safety of our workers, the customers, general public, while we finish our work. We have more than 1,700 linemen working on the system right now with support from all across the country. We are right-sizing our crews, shifting from big repair teams to smaller, highly targeted crews, focusing the right people on the right places to safely reach the final customers. So those needs evolve as we restore power. We have to be nimble to get to those last single outages. We are committed to providing clear information about customer responsibilities to ensure they can receive power at their residence. Our customer call volume has nearly doubled since the inception of the storm, and we're committed to communicating with customers not only through the call center, but also via updates on our website and social media. With regard to the call center, we have 2 overflow call centers that are assisting us with that additional call volume. Our communications include educating customers on their responsibilities for repairing meter boxes and weatherheads with the assistance of a licensed electrician. We want to minimize the number of customers that get to where they're finally restored, but they can't receive power. So we're trying to help them recognize that they may have that issue. We've been coordinating local, state, and federal resources. Thank you to the mayor and his administration for offering a great deal of support and coordination, including assistance from Metro Water, the fire department, MNPD, and NDOT. At the state level, we've received coordination and support from TDOT, TEMA, the National Guard, the Department of Agriculture, and at the federal level from FEMA and TVA. As you may have heard from Dr. Battle this morning, earlier this afternoon, actually, NES crews worked overnight to ensure power was restored to all MNPS schools, that students can return to the classrooms tomorrow. As we continue our restoration efforts, it's critical that that you help us with our communication efforts to our customers and your constituents as in their role in repairing weatherheads and other infrastructure on their homes so they can receive power at the time we're able to energize them. We've suspended late fee assessments and disconnections during this event, and it's important for NES customers to know they will not be billed for power they do not consume, since we're not like the phone company where you have a static state service. They're not paying for anything that they're not utilizing, and we are looking at ways that we can assist customers. I want to thank all of our linemen who are working around the clock to restore power to our customers in not so favorable weather. Today's much nicer. And I know these have been challenging times for all of our customers and for you as you try to help our community recover from this massive storm. And that concludes my prepared comments.
Thank you so much, CEO. You're welcome to take a seat if you want. We'll get to questions in a second. I know there are several other departments here who didn't say they had pressing updates. They are welcome to talk, but there's no expectation that they do. We also have present, I see the Codes Department, NDOT, and Waste Services are also present. And I have seen, oh, he's up here now, MNPS as well. Or Parks, sorry, we've got Parks. I thought I saw somebody from MNPS back there at some point, but maybe I probably need glasses given everything going on. But in any event, so certainly if anybody feels there's a critical update that they want to add, they're welcome to, but otherwise, I will open it up to questions. And since we've had a few other folks come in, I will just remind people today's questions are for critical pressing needs and clarifications. There will be time in the future to look back at things that could have been done differently or questions about things that should have been done. We, have a limited amount of time today, but I know people have some clarifying questions that they do have. So with that, if folks will just raise their hand, I'm going to write a list down. Porterfield, Benedict. Got Porterfield and Benedict. Anybody else? Okay, Councilmember Porterfield, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. And I apologize if this was already covered. I was walking through the tunnel as the update was being given. But do we have any information about the instances where it's like one person who is without power when everyone else around them has had their power restored? And if there is going to be, I know there was a recommendation of like setting a certain amount of the crew to the side to like address those, like if there's a plan to address that and what should those residents do? We keep getting a lot of questions about if they need to like continue to report those outages over and over.
Of course, CEO.
Yes, certainly happy to answer that. It is really important to provide those individuals that are the only house in the neighborhood with some support. So we are attacking our restoration efforts from two directions now that we have all of the major high voltage lines back on. We have converted some to smaller crews that are going out taking care of those onesie-twosie homes, particularly people that have gone to the trouble to have their weatherhead repaired. And Codes has done a great job of getting those approved and moved forward. We are committing a certain set of our line workers to being able to get those people reconnected.
Okay, thank you. And I apologize. I should have said Office of Emergency Management is here. Captain Young, I was looking right at you and I just skipped over y'all. So they are here as well for questions. I know y'all have worked nonstop to coordinate response. So Councilmember Porterfield, did you have anything further? Okay, Councilmember Benedict.
Thank you, Chair. I think, so on the individual side, I'm seeing people that are putting signs up on trees in front of their house and trucks are stopping to turn that one individual house on. Is that a best practice would be my question right now, because that is working. And then the other thing is some people have live wires and nobody is coming to get those live wires out of their backyard, even calling 911. Still no one is coming. What's the process so that we can help these people?
Okay, see you.
Certainly, with regard to the live wires, we have crews dedicated to addressing those. We just need to know where they are, and they are an important priority. A lot of people call 911, and they generally do a really good job of blocking off the area, but they can't address the wire. So we need to know where those are so that we can send a crew out to address it. We have a set of contractors that we've brought on board to take care of just that for us. So if you can send those along to us, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, and I believe there's a question about the signs.
Yes, I was going to get to that in just a moment. Thank you. But they want you to send that to Antonio. He'll run that to ground. So thank you. Okay, and the signs, Nashvillians are just a resilient and creative group of people. And so it sounds like they've found a way to appeal to cruise sympathy. But we have those in our system and are working off those onesie-twosie outages. If they have any doubt, if they're worried about it being lost in the system or something, which I realize is a concern of people sometimes, they can always check the maps, or they can check the My Outage Tracker tool. I don't know how effective the signs are. Our crews are typically assigned to go, they're assigned to go report to a specific spot and start working on restoration. So I don't know how much luck they'll have with that, but it certainly doesn't hurt. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next in the queue is Councilmember Spain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We received a fairly voluminous list of outage sites this morning. How do we interpret that? Are they going from are the crews working from the top of that list down? Is that the list for today and there's a new list for tomorrow? What does that list tell us?
Maybe I should have stayed up here. So thank you for that question. The list you received, I assume, and Antonio may need to clarify for me exactly what he sent, but I believe what was intended to be sent was a list of outages, crew locations where they're going to be working. Is that what you're referencing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Yeah, those are general crew locations, and so I can't say that those are mapped to a specific outage on the outage map. And so as I mentioned, we're prioritizing larger outages, but we're down to the largest is about 300 people. So we're working the larger ones and attacking the single ones at the same time. Does that help? I want to make sure I'm answering your question.
I'm not sure how to ask what I'm trying to get to correctly.
Let me clarify a little bit on it. So the spreadsheet that I sent had 150 locations on it, and that 150 locations were our largest outages. And if you notice on the spreadsheet, it had an address for it. And so, and as I sent the detailed information about the crew sizes, those large crews will be working on each one of those different outages, attacking it from the top to the bottom. When they finish with one, they would head to the next one in the most efficient way possible. That answer your question?
Yeah, that helps. Thanks.
Okay. Anything further, council members?
No, thank you.
Okay. I know Councilmember Porterfield had a question, but Councilmember Hill was also in the queue, so I'm going to just go to her real quick since okay.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to stand up and publicly say thank you. I know that every one of us, all of my colleagues, the mayor's office, the vice mayor, every single department out there have all been screamed at least once in the last few days. And some of us have been without power and still out there working hard and making sure all the constituents know. And I know that this has been hard on every single person involved. And so it hasn't been perfect, but I want to thank everybody who's pulled together, and codes has helped NES, and water has helped everybody, and so many people have done so many things, and I just want to say thank you. I know you've probably not heard that in the last 10 days, and I just want you to know how much it's appreciated.
Thank you so much for that. Yes, I also understand how hard all of you must be working to meet the needs of your constituents during this time, and collaborating with us. So that's appreciated.
All right, thank you. I think Councilmember Gregg takes umbrage with the phrase "at least once," but just based solely on the vibe. But I appreciate that, Councilmember Hill. Councilmember Porterfield, back to you.
Thank you, Chair. One more question was about individuals that are medically fragile or individuals with disabilities, senior citizens, medically fragile individuals. I know that each community will have someone that falls under that umbrella, but we are getting lots of like calls and emails, social media messages about people that are in dire need for their services due to like a medical emergency. It is my understanding that there is a prioritization process for that outside of like storm. Like if it's just a regular power outage, there is a prioritization for that, but not necessarily within the confines of this type of storm restoration. So now that we have gotten down to doing like those individual houses, are we prioritizing the medically fragile people?
CEO.
It is very important to take care of those who are vulnerable in our community. So we have prioritized those critical referral customers. We also yesterday met with Chief Swan, and he expressed that he would be able to potentially check on those individuals or provide them with assistance. We're not allowed to release really the names or the medical information, but we just provided literally probably an hour ago a list of the addresses to him. So I'm sure he's had no time to do anything with it, but has it in hand now.
Thank you. And I would add, I do know at least one person on that list who is out of power who made themselves aware to the city to get a generator. So as the city is finding out about those folks, providing unique support to them as well. Councilmember Benedict, Councilmember Porterfield, was that your only question? Sorry. Okay. Councilmember Benedict.
Thank you, Chair. I want to talk a little bit about communication. I don't want to go down the path of what could have been done better. I want to talk about what we can do right now, tomorrow. I'm having videos on Instagram 2 to 3 times a day, and I'm getting a tremendous amount of engagement through that. I'm doing that with updates that I get internally, but I would say that 40 part-timers are having a hard time working our day job and also pushing out these kinds of things. So I would ask that if it's possible to use social media platforms to do videos, not just here's a piece of paper with statistics, but to say here's where we are and sharing information in a better way that is better for the user, not better for the pusher-outer. So I think that's a really critical piece that I think we could do a lot better. We have a council meeting tomorrow that's probably going to go until 11 or midnight. A lot of us are tired. A lot of us have been without power. I know all of us are tired. And the more help that we can get pushing this communication out, it's a quality of life issue for these 40 part-time council members to continue to do the work of getting this communication out to people, and we really need that help.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Allen, I saw your hand pop up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to return to the question about medically fragile, we learned the other night that there is a program in place where people can be registered ahead of time. We're hearing from a number of people who maybe didn't know about that program. Is there a way to get those folks added at this point? I mean, I don't want to create chaos, but as we hear from people, is there a way for those to join that list?
So I will let the CEO take that. I think Director Potter has something. My understanding is there is a formal process to add people to that. But within that context, I will turn it over to the public mic.
We have a form they need completed with their medical provider. So we can't just flag them in the system at this point for them to officially be on that program.
Thank you, CEO. I think.
Yeah, we have the same thing. If you think you should be on we call it the critical care customer list, please call 615-862-4600, and we'll go through the process of getting them on the list.
Thank you. And the administration wanted to add to that as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You can also go to NashvilleResponds.org. That's VOAD, and you can sign up for resources there as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Allen, did you have anything further at this time? All right. Councilmember Ewing, you're next in the queue.
Thank you. Okay, so I am getting a lot of sort of one-off special situations. I understand the concept of smaller crews going out to get those smaller issues addressed, the one home, the 2 homes. If a home has had one of these special situations, like a meter box torn off the house by a falling tree. They had an electrician fix that. Then they were notified that they're ready to be turned back on. The problem is they need the line attached to the house and at the pole, and they were told that they are considered a special case, but they don't understand what the process is to work it from here. So how do I advise them? Like, what information can I offer them so that they can go and go through the rest of the process and get them done? I have a lot of people worried that they're going to be forgotten because they're these special weird cases.
I have spoken with a few of these customers that are worried they're going to be forgotten, which is why we have started converting a lot of the crews to dedicated to those specific cases where you have a home that they're the only one off in their neighborhood, and they need their service line reconnected is what they need. So we're working those diligently. We have quite a few crews working those single outages, and we're also looking at we'll see meters that are not lit up, that are within an area that we've re-energized, and we will sit and ping the meter from system control to see if we can talk to it. And if we can't, we're sending engineers out there to look at it to see what's wrong with it. So if something's broken and needs to be repaired, our engineers are communicating that to the resident. If they're not home, I think they have a door hanger. They're leaving.
Okay, just to follow up on that, what I'm wanting to know, sort of piggybacking on what CM Benedict said, right now, a lot of us are the conduit for information to get to Antonio or someone else at NES, which seems, well, it's both exhausting, but also kind of inefficient. Is there an avenue that people can get that information or get clarification on their situation? A lot of people are calling and not getting through to a person. They're sort of reaching a dead end. And so I just want to give them some other conduit besides, well, really
Calling
besides
you.
me.
Yeah. Well, we posted a video earlier this morning. I believe it's out on the website, isn't it? Well, it's not on the website. It's on our social media. We made a couple of videos yesterday of one of our meter personnel talking about weatherhead meter damage, meter-based damage, that several things, all the things the customer would be responsible for repairing before we can connect them. So he walked through a little video of this is what this looks like, and if this is broken, you need to get an electrician immediately so you can be energized when we arrive.
Okay, just one, I'm sorry, one more clarification. Okay, so that's great, that's great. This specific individual has already gone through all of those hoops. They've done what they needed to do. They've had that verified by NES, but then the person who was assisting them had to go off and do other calls because they had reached a dead end of that work order.
Right.
And so this individual is really wanting to help spur the next step, and they just don't know
Right.
what
They
to
don't,
do.
They honestly don't have anything additional they need to do.
Okay.
So
they're still on the radar. They're
they're
still somewhere on the queue.
They absolutely are. And if they're concerned about that and they don't want to wait, but they don't want to call into our customer service line, they can always look at the My Outage Tracker online. And if say they put their address into that and it says they have power, then they have fallen out of the system. And there's an option on there to, it displays if this is erroneous, text out to this number, and it will put them back into the system. And there's not a chronological queue. I've had that question too. Just because they report it now doesn't mean they're last priority.
Yeah, I've had that question a
Yeah,
lot.
that's not how we work it. Instead, they'll be working in an area hitting those onesie-twosie outages. They won't, they're not just going chronological order.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Oh,
All right, thank you. The next in the queue was Councilmember Vo.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a clarifying question. I know everyone wants, their power back at their house. So, and we have a lot of contractors coming in, and so community members have been reaching out to me, and I know other council members who see contractors parked in lots for over an hour or 6 hours. And I think it'd be very helpful if any of us could clarify, like, why it may seem that they're parking for a long time, or maybe we're just not understanding as constituents. So if y'all could explain that more, or why they are sitting longer. I know everyone's stressed. So just wanted to ask that.
I know we are leveraging all of them to the best of our abilities, and there are times that they may be, first off, they time out. They may have worked a 16-hour shift and be timed out. I know I've not had any time to be on social media, but I've had friends send me like screenshots of things, and they're like, someone's talking about this parking lot that's just full of bucket trucks. Well, it's just a staging area, and you'll see workers there sometimes. Sometimes they're doing safety briefings. There are occasions where they're waiting on assignments, but we've really tried to be efficient in getting them out to where they need to be so that we can get power restored. So I think there are a variety of circumstances that can result in a crew sitting there. And also some of the contract crews, when they come in, they will park before we get to them. Like they'll arrive in town and they'll park and they'll be hanging out and they'll call and say, hey, we're here. Well, then we need to get someone over to them to get them assigned and trained so they can work on our system. So those are some of the reasons you could see some vehicles.
All right, thank you. That's helpful. Next in the queue is Councilmember Suara.
Thank you, Chair. And I think a bunch of what I wanted to ask has been asked, but I wanted to go back on the people with medical needs. I know people can text and say out, but can they text that need as well? Because I just found out about a couple of people today that medical emergency didn't know what to do, and the neighbors were trying to figure it out. And here I was trying to call NES, trying to call OEM, and not sure who to call. And so is there, just like you have a special number for outages, so I don't have power yet, can we have something, or can they put a message in that text so that we can put that out, so it's not just us calling for one-on-one? If people know they can do that, then that would be something. Is that something they could do? Because this person needed oxygen and her power is out, and she didn't know what to do until we got there. And so we cannot be at everyone's homes. And so the way to do this is to have an avenue where people can self-report this so they can get the help that they need.
Individuals that are they're requiring electricity to maintain their health certainly need the attention. And in those circumstances, we don't have an option with the texting for it to flag a specific medical need. They just have to, they can report an outage that way, but it doesn't put anything in our system to say this person has a medical need. As I mentioned earlier, even the critical referrals, that's a formal process utilizing a form and the person's physician. Now, if they're on oxygen, they can certainly be on the program, but we don't have we can't go in at this point and just flag people that have medical problems that aren't already in the program.
So for those people, instead of calling their council people only, what option do they have? Do they call 911? I mean, what can we tell people to do? Because we're discovering people as we go, but it would be better to have information that people can act on their own. So what is the advice if a neighbor comes across another neighbor that need that kind of help? What should they do?
I I think that's probably, I appreciate the question. I think, Captain Young, from OEM's perspective, might you answer if somebody has a critical medical need, what they should do? I also was not aware of this critical care program until somebody in the program reached out to me about it. And so I think going forward, it'd be great if Antonio could just, there's like a link on the website that they sent me and he can share that with us. But as far as folks who aren't on that program, I think that's really up to OEM at this point. So Captain Young, might you be able to help us figure out what they need to do?
Yes, ma'am. Council Lady, I'll let Heidi speak on this from the OEM side, but if you know of a situation, please, you've got my number, call me. And we've had some of these individual calls that came in, and we've went out there and took care of some of these needs. But I'll let Heidi from OEM answer it in a broad perspective.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Pardon me. Heidi Mariskow with OEM. In regards to those that are on life-saving devices, please have them call the non-emergency number, the 862-8530. If it's non-emergency, if it's not life-threatening. But if it is life-threatening, they're getting low on their oxygen, then they probably should call 911 so that we can get personnel over there to assist and so that we can get in touch with NES if they don't have that direct connection already.
Thank you. Thank you. My other question is about the transformer, and I guess that's NES. So how soon are we getting transformer out there for, there's a property that, there's a whole building without power. The NES has come out and said it's a transformer issue and they need to fix the transformer. Do we know how soon that is happening, and how do we expedite that, considering that people have been out for about eight days now?
We would probably need the specific situation details. If you don't mind sending those to Antonio, that would be helpful.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Chair.
Anything? Okay. Councilmember Gregg, you are next in the queue.
Thanks for recognizing, Chair. Two clarifying questions. Can you tell I'm tired? So for the down live lines, we're getting a lot of those calls. What specifics do we need? The pole number, or if the line is laying between 2 yards? We need to know exactly what we need to report. And then secondly, now that a lot of power is restored, customers are getting on the outage tracker that they have power, but they don't. And they're reporting it, several times on the text, and it still says you have power. How do we fix that?
Okay, let me break out those two. On the first, with regard to live lines, if they can, when they call in with that, if they have a pole number, that's helpful. It may not be safe to get close enough to the pole to get a pole number. So I have sent a couple of those to my team members where I've gotten emails about them. And if we just know the address and any details, such as it's between the houses or it's laying in this direction, helps the team find it when they get there. But those are typically pretty easy for us to recognize if we just know the location. And it is so important for customers to be able to get accurate information at this stage of our restoration efforts. So I regret that people are not having problems with my outage tracker. It would really help us if, well, let me back up. We were looking for a tool to help customers be able to get some information about their specific outage. And that was something our team put together. Now, anytime you build an application in 2 days and test it for a day before you put it out, you're going to have some glitches in it. If we have some details on what those addresses are, that would help us refine it and improve it. I think Brent has some additional details on the circumstances that can create that.
Got it all covered, and paying attention to that. The thing that we have left right now is each zip code as it finishes. You saw the ones yesterday where we're going to hit 100%. Last night, the team went through, and as she mentioned, the pinging of the meters. We then got a report, I think it was 74 meters that were out there that couldn't communicate. It kind of answers your question as well. So we went through that, and first thing in the morning, those assessors that were going out to find out all the damage, they now have seen it all. We're going back through to relook at the damage to make sure we didn't miss anything, so when a crew shows up, they're efficient. The other thing we're doing is going out to see how we can get the power lines restored. But to the question you're asking, they're taking those 74, going back quickly and getting those, coming back, hanging door tags while they're out there, telling what the specific issue is. We actually made, I think, 8 phone calls today out of that 74 because the text message and hanging a door tag didn't catch anybody. Now we're telling people exactly what they have to do. So that'll happen every day. So it's maybe not as fast as going out and just finding them all in some scattered way. It's a real methodical way to get through it. And hopefully each day we get through more and more of those, you'll hear less of that. That's the effort we put in to try to get that specific eye on what the issue is and get them able to either know whether they need to get an electrician or, like you maybe mentioned, they already have done that. Then we can then send a truck. So Teresa also mentioned we've dedicated a lot more 2-man trucks, which is different than we were rebuilding the line. Now those are there able to dispatch more quickly. So at the end of today, we'll see just how well that system worked and probably be able to make a few tweaks. But that's one of the kind of more manual methods that we're going to have to do to be able to resolve it.
Okay, thank you for that answer. And Councilmember, we don't have anybody else in the queue, so did just want to add a couple of things real quick. The administration would like you to know that they misspoke on the email address. It is NashvilleRescues.com. Oh, response. Nashville Responds. We're just, sorry, all getting backwards. Nashville Responds with an S.com. So that is the email address, NashvilleResponds.com. I also do want to recognize that Waste Services is here. This is a big day for them. Trash days are all kinds of off already, but as we have talked about a lot in this committee, we are now rolling out new trash days effective today. We were very lucky to keep power, and therefore we had neighbors staying with us the whole time. Very involved neighbors who did not realize trash days were changing. So we have tried to roll this out far and wide, but I'm sure we're all going to be sideways and confused for a little bit over it for those getting Waste Services pickups. And then the last thing, I just want to clarify, I know we all know this in this room, and I appreciate that NES uses the term customers to humanize what they are doing because they are human lives that they are affecting. But I think it has created some confusion in the media as to what we're talking about on the scale of the crisis, which is that a customer reflects a meter. So there may be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people living at that address. It may be an apartment building that was somehow chopped up and only has one main meter service. It could be an empty commercial building, but at sort of the locations in which power has been out, the number of customers is a fraction of the number of people who have been without power in this county. And so again, while I really appreciate NES humanizing what they are doing for people from a public relations standpoint and from just a what people have experienced standpoint, 230,000 customers means 2 or 3 times that number of people have gone without power for some period of time over the past 10 days. So I know this has been very trying on people. This has been very difficult. Our Metro workers have worked very hard and around the clock. I think everybody in this town has some frayed nerves right now, and I'm afraid as water pipes start busting and trash days switch this week, we're going to continue to see that. I'd like to thank MNPS again for making sure schools can get open and NES for working with them, because I think that will help some as well for some of us who are feeling a little bit of COVID deja vu after everything that has gone on. And my thoughts are with everybody right now. Having no further business, we will adjourn.